Hello there, Brick Fanatics. Welcome to June. We have somehow almost made it to the 6th month of the year 2026 because time just keeps on slipping into the future. I feel like I've made that reference in one of these videos before, but let's just roll with it. Anyway, as quarter 2 of the year is reaching its climax, it looks like the LEGO Group is getting ready for quarters 3 and 4 and getting the push to have everything out on store shelves in time for Christmas. So there's a bunch of new LEGO sets coming on the 1st of June. There are well over 100 new LEGO sets launching across various different themes. There is something of a trend here. We've got an awful lot of sets based around roller coasters, Ferris wheels, or some other kind of fairground ride. I am by no means complaining, being a particularly big fan of theme parks myself. I'm going to be keeping a tally over the course of this video though for every time we see a set that either has some kind of roller coaster or Ferris wheel element. Now what we're going to do is go through every single theme in alphabetical order. I'm going to pause after each one and highlight 1 or 2 sets that I think are particularly noteworthy for whatever reason. And I have to add that classic caveat that we have on every single one of these videos. The LEGO Group does like to throw us a curveball, so while this is every single LEGO set that has been announced for June thus far, that doesn't mean that we won't have something either announced towards the end of May or something into June that gets announced very last minute that will show up at some point over the course of the month. Now, as we go through this list, if you see anything that you absolutely definitely have to have and you're going to be buying it from the LEGO website, there is an affiliate link in the description or a QR code currently on screen. They take you straight to the LEGO website and we get a percentage of the sale when you purchase through those links. Doesn't cost you a penny extra, but it helps keep the lights on at Brick Fanatics. Just a nice way of showing us support if you happen to be enjoying this video. With all of that out of the way, let's get started. Here is every single LEGO set that has currently been announced for release during the month of June 2026. Architecture. 21066 New York City, the Big Apple. I have made absolutely no secret of the fact that I think this is a gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous piece of art. I definitely see you, those of you who were in the comments for the video that we did on this set, where you were saying, well, it's not really architecture, is it? Like, from the get-go, I knew that that was going to be a contention point here. However, I do think that it is just absolutely stunning. I love the grayscale here. I also see everybody in the comments who pointed out that Star Wars also is a great theme if you like really nice, pretty-looking grey LEGO sets. But I've kind of had a lot of those by this point. This is doing something new with that grey, and I really, really appreciate that. I don't know what's coming for the future of the architecture theme. I don't know if we're going to be getting more of these, similar to this one, similar to the Parisian one that we also have, or whether we're going to be getting a lot more traditional architecture sets. I do hope that we get the more traditional architecture sets as well, but I would also like a few more cities to get this kind of treatment. Bluey. 11216 Grannies with Bingo and Bluey. 11217 Brick-Built Bluey Family. 11221 School with Rusty and Bluey. The Granny minifigures are really nice to have here. If you've seen the show at all, you will know how important the Granny characters are. I can imagine they're going to be very, very popular. Personally, the minifigure that I'm the most excited for is Rusty because he is just the best, sweetest boy. If you have not seen Bluey, I need you to understand the length that I would go to for this imaginary cartoon dog because he is just the best. Little highlights from Rusty, the cricket episode, obviously, and the episode Early Baby, which, without wanting to have to put up yet another trigger warning for a Bluey episode. Seriously, this show has depth to it that you would not imagine, and Rusty's part in that particular episode is just so sweet. Oddly though, the one of these sets that I'm the most interested in is actually the Brick-Built Family, and that feels strange coming from me because when Super Mario does this kind of thing, or other certain themes do this kind of thing, I'm not necessarily a huge fan, but right now, for whatever reason, I'm really into these kind of Brick-Built Bluey characters. For some reason, these really work for me. Botanicals. 11505 Forest Mushrooms. 11511 Water Lily. 11514 Cosmos Flowers. Forest Mushrooms is the obvious choice for me personally here, no shade to the other 2 sets, it's just that the moment my daughter saw that she was like, yes, I need that in my life, because mushrooms are like 90% of her aesthetic. And it's fun to see the botanical theme again exploring new territory here and moving away from the traditional kind of flowers that we might have had in the past and thinking, well, what else can we do? Why don't we try something that's a little bit more foresty in its design? Why don't we try some different other kinds of flora that we might not necessarily have covered in the past? BrickHeadz. 40860 Toy Story. 40923 Shrek, Donkey and Gingy Figures. 40924 Megatron Robot and Vehicle. 40925 Alice in Wonderland. Some really strong BrickHeadz here. This is a good turnout. I imagine that the Shrek ones are going to be particularly popular because this is going to be not just one of the very first Shrek LEGO sets, but also the most affordable at the time of its release. The one that I want to highlight though is Megatron, because this is brilliant. This is a continuation of the BrickHeadz that we've had for Optimus Prime and Bumblebee in the past, and it's fun because you get the little Megatron tank as well as Megatron the character. I do think it's wise of them to have chosen this particular form for Megatron to transform into. Those who are familiar with the source material will know that at the start initially he turned into a handgun. I can see why the LEGO group didn't go in that direction here. City. 60480 backhoe loader, 60492 passenger aeroplane, 60494 dump truck and front end loader, 60496 pizza delivery experience, 60497 drive-through car wash, 60501 lava land, 60506 classic beach streetcar, 60509 harbour freight train, 60511 vintage steam train, 60512 mountain bike adventure van. Here we have the first of our roller coaster sets for this video with Lava Land. I do think that this is absolutely fantastic. I love me a Lego roller coaster. I think that these are all just absolutely wonderful. But this one in particular is fun because it feels like it's calling back to Power Miners or Rock Raiders, depending on how old you are, and that is a fun thing to see referenced in a modern Lego set. I'm also very nervous to vocally admit this, but I am looking at these trains and thinking to myself, is it time? Is it time for me to start building a model Lego railway? Because there have been so many really good Lego trains recently, and this vintage steam train is another example of that. But I also really like the freight train here, and I also really like the streetcar. So yeah, I'm in trouble here. I could end up falling down a very deep rabbit hole. Classic. 11045 creative colourful bricks. Always nice to have a big box of traditional Lego bricks, unless you're buying a Minecraft set or unless you're doing a pick-a-brick at a Lego store or on the Lego website. This is going to be the best way to get hold of a bunch of really simple traditional Lego pieces. I maybe like my classic box to have a few more trans elements here, but that's just my personal preference. Creator 3-in-1. 31383 floral perfume bottle. 31386 majestic lion. 31387 iconic pirate ship. 31388 family of koalas. 31389 iconic Ferris wheel. 31390 floral wall art. 31391 fashion handbag with storage. 31392 music decor piano. 31393 grey wolf. Where to even start here? Creator 3-in-1 just continually knocking it out of the park with some of the coolest Lego sets, and the fact that these things have to be designed 3 times is just so impressive. Speaking as I just was about trans elements, I really enjoy the perfume bottle. It's just a different way of going about a Creator 3-in-1 set, and the fact that it is mostly made out of trans elements means that you have a completely different vibe here to most other Creator 3-in-1 sets. Then there's Majestic Lion, which is going to go great with a bunch of the other safari animals that we've had for this theme recently in the past few years. Family of koalas similarly, although obviously they don't normally fit in the same kind of safari environment as a lion. Ditto grey wolf, and here is another one for our tally of things inspired by theme parks or fairground rides. We've got a brilliant looking Ferris wheel. And if all that weren't enough, there is the triumphant return of the Creator 3-in-1 pirate ship. This one is slightly different to the previous one, but really only slightly. And that probably shows that the original model was very popular, and I imagine that this one will continue to be popular as well. I have the original one from a few years ago. It has seen a bit of play by this point. It has been weathered. It is not quite as pristine as it once was. And so I am looking at the new one and thinking, I could refresh things here. Disney. 43280 Beach Fun with Lilo and Stitch. 43282 Village House and Boat. 43283 Cinderella Animal Friends Castle. 43289 Belle and the Beast's Enchanted Castle. 43292 Pua. 43293 Kakamora. 43294 Rapunzel's Mini Tower. 43295 Jasmine's Jewellery Box. 43296 Stitch and Scrump. 43297 Rapunzel's Castle. 43299 Ariel's Royal Wedding Boat. 43302 Main Street USA. Do you know, it's funny, looking at this lineup of Disney sets, comparing the box office for certain Disney films with the amount of merchandise and toy sales that they have generated. It's fun. Stitch in particular, we've got a new brick-built Stitch. He's been around in brick-built form for years and years and years at this point. We've got another different Stitch set that's releasing. Clearly there is something about this character that really resonates with people, even though basically nobody went to see the first film when it originally hit cinemas. Similarly, while certainly better received when it first released, it felt like Moana was under Frozen's shadow for quite a while. But we keep getting Moana Lego sets. It's clear that a lot of people really love Moana, and I absolutely appreciate that because that is one of my favourite modern Disney films. I do think it is significantly better than Frozen. I haven't seen the second one because that's a glorified Disney Plus show that they threw in cinemas. I'm almost certainly not going to see the live-action remake, but that's more because I don't like live-action remakes rather than because I have anything against that particular film. I'm going off on a bit of a tangent here. Ariel's Wedding Boat, that one's also brilliant. I love that you get Ursula in human form and how brilliant that mini doll looks. This is maybe one of my favourite mini dolls of the year because she just looks right. It's always so good when the Lego graphic designer just absolutely nails a particular character's look in minifigure or mini doll form. And we've got Main Street USA, which is going to be for some people, clearly not going to be for a lot of other people based on the comments on our previous video, but it's another one for our theme park tally, even though it doesn't happen to have a particular ride included. Editions: 43018 Lionel Messi Celebration. This one's fun, nice big wall art. I do really appreciate the Editions theme, despite it not necessarily covering subject matter that I have a huge vested interest in. I think that a lot of these builds are just absolutely gorgeous. This one is no exception. My one criticism of this set is that it's got these squiggly, swirly, whirly whips to be Messi's tattoos, and they just give me the heebie-jeebies a little bit. Fortnite: 77079 Tomato Head. 77080 Supply Drop. 77081 Kit. 77082 The Rave Cave. I enjoy the Tomato Head build, that's going to go very, very well with anyone's Durr Burger, but the Rave Cave is the obvious choice to highlight here because it's another one for our tally, and it is very, very cool looking. I do really like this particular roller coaster. Friends: 42676 Fun Water Park Day. 42682 Nature Glamping Cabin. 42690 Forest Tea Party. 42693 Creative Flower Shop. 42694 Pizza Truck. 42697 Creative Dollhouse Suitcase. 42700 Candy and Cupcake Ferris Wheel. 42701 Koala Habitat and Care Center. 42702 Spinning Flower and Fairy Teacup Ride. 42703 Mermaid Roller Coaster Ride. 42704 Heart Lake City Grand Hotel. 42705 Cozy Autumn Forest Cabin. And here's a few more for our theme park tally. We've got the Ferris wheel, we've got the spinning teacup ride, and we've got the Mermaid roller coaster, which of all of these theme park or amusement park sets releasing in June is my absolute favourite. I love the colour scheme, I love the level of detail and creativity that's going on here, and I love the inclusion of these two mermaid mini dolls. Harry Potter: 76462 Hogwarts House Crest. 76469 Dobby the Free Elf. 76473 Hogwarts Castle East Wing. 76474 Hogwarts Herbology Plants. 76475 Forbidden Forest Expecto Patronum. 76477 Norbert Hagrid's Baby Dragon. 76478 Book Nook Dumbledore's Office. Right, we're at the point now with LEGO Harry Potter where I can no longer tell if something is accurate to the source material. Because, for example, I'm looking at this brick-built baby Norbert dragon, and I can't tell if it's doing not the best job of looking like the film Norbert, or if it looks exactly like the one from the upcoming TV show. As that show starts airing, I'm sure we're going to get LEGO sets that are inspired by the design choices in the show rather than in the film, and as that happens, I'm not really going to recognise as much stuff because with the best will in the world, I am not going to watch a Harry Potter TV show. I do like this Dumbledore's Office book nook. I think that book nooks for Harry Potter make a huge amount of sense because, well, you can just stack them alongside your Harry Potter books. And leaving aside any other comments comparing these two franchises, I do think that this one has a lot more going on inside it than the Balrog Lord of the Rings book nook. And speaking of Lord of the Rings, icons. 11377 The Lord of the Rings Minas Tirith. 40893 The Lord of the Rings Grond. 11380 Road Bike. I wasn't sure if I should put the Grand gift with purchase on this list because it's not a set that you can buy in stores. You can only get it as a freebie bundled with Minas Tirith during the first week that that set is on store shelves. And it is kind of a shame because it would be nice if this set were purchasable because it's a small little Lord of the Rings set that is quite fun in its own right. We've also got the bike here, which is an interesting one because it almost doesn't look like Lego from a distance. They've done such a good job of designing this set to look like a bike that you would be forgiven for thinking that it isn't even made of bricks. Ideas. 21368 Peanuts Snoopy's Doghouse. I feel bad for this set for not receiving quite as much of my attention as most LEGO idea sets. I think it just came at a moment in time where it ended up passing me by for whatever reason. It is a cute little build. I do think it is quite fun, and it is brilliant to have one of the greatest icons, if not the greatest icon of newspaper comic strips in LEGO form. Certainly the greatest icons that will allow merchandising based on the characters. We're not getting a Calvin and Hobbes LEGO set anytime soon. Jurassic World. 77985 Dinosaur Fossils Triceratops. This is such a nice looking build. I do really enjoy all of the brick-built dinosaur skeletons, but this one in particular, there's something about the way that it's all put together. It just looks so satisfying. The included minifigure does feel like we're scraping the bottom of the barrel for original Jurassic Park characters though, because frankly, who knows this guy's name? He's just the guy who stands by a pile of poo. Marvel. 11209 Ultron vs Iron Man. 11211 Loki vs Team Iron Man. 76346 Spider-Man Hero Figure. 76349 Spider-Man Prison Transport Chase. 76350 Spider-Man vs Hulk Epic Clash. 76354 Shield Helicarrier. With this theme, I feel myself drawn to both the cheapest and the most expensive of the new sets that are releasing, because on the one hand, I really enjoy this little Iron Man and his awesome friends set with all of the different various Iron Man suit minifigures. You've got your Ironheart and your Iron Man, you've got Hulk there as well, because why not? And on the other side of the spectrum, you've got the giant Shield Helicarrier. Both of these brilliant sets doing very different things. I like them both. Minecraft. 21592 Chicken Jockey Desert Attack. 21593 First Night Adventure. 21594 The Skeleton. 21595 The Ender Dragon. 21596 Evoker Village Attack. 21597 Ghast Station. 21598 Underwater Adventure. That brick-built skeleton is pretty darn cool. As someone who's not a huge Minecraft fan, I can appreciate having a large skeleton. This one will go very well with the creeper that we've had previously at a similar kind of scale, and it does make me think to myself, I want an upscaled minifigure skeleton. I want that in my life. If we can have Darth Vader, more on that in a second, we can get a skeleton. Hopefully, right? Please? Ninjago. 71862 Lloyd's Dragon Mech Battle Pack. 71863 Zilvar and Grimtack. 71864 Kai and Cole's Combiner Vehicles. 71865 Zane's Ice Dragon Battle. 71867 X1 Ninja Charger. 71868 Wildfire's Transforming Dragon Mech. 71869 Land Bounty. 71870 The Twin Titan Mechs. 71871 Battle at the Dragon's Blade. 71872 Ultra Dragon's Battle. Again, I find myself drawn to both one of the cheaper sets and one of the more expensive sets. We've got this brilliant looking ice monster in Kai and Cole's Combiner Vehicles, which I just think is so perfectly Ninjago. One of the things I really enjoy about this theme is some of the weird and wonderful head molds, and this one is no exception. It's just brimming with character and I absolutely love it. And then on the complete opposite side of the spectrum, you've got the absolutely giant Ultra Dragon's Battle, and I really enjoy some of the larger, more display-oriented sets that we're getting for Ninjago now. Some of these builds that are just absolutely huge and really detailed and allow the LEGO designers to properly flex their creative muscles in giving us something that just looks like it could stroll out of a kaiju film. Seasonal. 80120 Prosperity Carp Leaping. 80121 Ancient Moon-Gazing Inn. I can't help but feel like both of these sets address my issues and my concerns that I had about the Lunar New Year sets for this year. Because on the one hand, you've got the carp here jumping over the gate. I really enjoy this mechanic. I think that that is just so brilliant. But it feels like it's giving us a neat gimmick that is more grounded in Lego than, say, the horses one, which was mostly built around a canvas piece. Here, it's all Lego, and I really appreciate that. I really enjoy this. And I think it's wonderful to have this particular cultural touchstone in in Lego form. For any Pokemon fans out there, the story that this is referencing is the inspiration for the Pokemon of Magikarp and Gyarados, with a tiny little carp fish jumping over a magic gate in order to turn into a dragon. The only real downside to this set is that it doesn't contain a dragon. That would be quite a nice thing to have if you turned around the thing and one side is a carp and one side is a dragon, rather than one side is a carp and the other side is a slightly different coloured carp. Then there's the Ancient Moon-Gazing Inn, which is exactly what I would have loved to have as a follow-up to that family reunion set in the Chinese restaurant. This is so gorgeous. It is wonderful to have something from a kind of more old world Chinese vibe. It is wonderful to have something with a more old world Chinese vibe that is not quite as stylized or over the top as something like a Monkey Kid set. Seriously, I'm just so impressed with these sets. They are obviously not just a reaction to my comments on the Lunar New Year sets from this year, but I'm gonna pretend they are, so thanks guys. Shrek. 72423, Shrek, Donkey and Puss in Boots. This big brick-built Shrek is fun. The tiny little Puss in Boots does feel weirdly out of place here when you've got the other two who are brick-built and then just this one minifigure that is by no means to scale whatsoever, but it's also fun to have a little Puss in Boots minifigure, so I'm not going to complain hugely. My favourite detail of this set is the fact that you can open up Shrek's stomach and inside he's got an eyeball, an onion and a waffle, which is 3 references all in one go and also kind of gross, and that's just perfect for Shrek. Sonic the Hedgehog. 40926 Sega Genesis console. I have 2 thoughts about this brick-built Mega Drive. On the one hand, I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, it's a shame the controllers aren't quite as good as that controller gift with purchase that we got last year. And then on the other hand, I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, isn't it brilliant that it is so dinky, so small, and so affordable? It feels like the LEGO Group has learned some very important lessons from the Game Boy here. Yes, you can make a big Atari console that costs several £100s and is really only going to appeal to the super hardcore fans of this particular device, or you can make a little thing that's affordable that everybody is going to want to pick up. So yeah, of course, at this particular scale, you lose some details. Not everything is going to be quite as high fidelity as, for example, the Nintendo Entertainment System, but on the other hand, the fact that anybody can pick this thing up for relatively cheap, that's a big win. Plus it comes with a little Sonic 2 cartridge, although I do have hopes that, as with the Game Boy, the fan base will provide alternative stickers for people who want different Mega Drive games. Speed Champions. 77260 Fast and Furious Toyota Supra Mark IV. 77621 Ferrari 499P. 76262 Ken Block 65 Ford Mustang Unicorn V1. I apologise for picking the Fast and Furious car here again because I feel like I pick it every time that one of these comes up, but it is wonderful to have this little collection of Fast and Furious Speed Champions cars inside the larger Speed Champions collection. I love the look of this Supra, I love the colour scheme here, that bold orange, I love how well it's going to sit on the shelf next to Suki's Honda S2000. A big part of the fun of the visuals for Fast and Furious films is how much it looks like you're just in a sweet shop with all these brightly coloured cars flying around, and that's something that LEGO can deliver on so very well. Star Wars. 75458 Imperial Remnant AT-RT Driver Helmet. 75461 Upscale Darth Vader Minifigure. With my apologies to fans of the helmet collection, I do feel like the upscale Darth Vader minifigure is the one that most people are going to be excited for. That all said, I see the prices of these slowly creeping up. I see the LEGO Group spotting that they're onto something and just ever so slightly nudging up the cost of these sets. I remember being in the LEGO house and looking at that LEGO Pirate one and thinking to myself, oh, it's brilliant, it's definitely the best of the lot of these, but it is quite expensive compared to some of them. And now it's actually cheaper than this Darth Vader one, so oh well, next time I go to Billund, I know what I'm picking up. Technic. 42229 Fast and Furious Mitsubishi Eclipse. 42231 Fast and Furious Dodge Charger RT. 42241 Green Bugatti Chiron Pure Sport. 42242 Mercedes-Benz Unimog U5023 with crane. I always have such a difficult time telling the size of a LEGO Technic car because no matter whether they're the relatively small ones or the absolutely massive ones, they all kind of look the same from a distance. Of these, I like the Bugatti Chiron. It's got a wonderful bright green colour scheme which is just a lot of fun. And that is absolutely every LEGO set currently announced for release during the month of June. Which of these will you be picking up? Let us know in the comments down below. And while you're there, do all of the rest of the YouTube things. Give this video a thumbs up, hit subscribe and the notification bell. There is an affiliate link in the description. There is a QR code currently on screen that take you straight to the LEGO website. If you happen to be buying any of these sets anyway, just go through those links. Doesn't cost you a penny extra, but we get a little bit of a percentage of the sale when you purchase through those links. Helps to keep the lights on at Brick Fanatics. Speaking of which, you can go to brickfanatics.com for coverage of all things LEGO, and you can sign up to our newsletter so that you never miss anything LEGO related ever again. Thank you very much for watching and have a wonderful day.